Hello there, how is your year coming up? So we continue to say Happy New Year, and we hope that your year is coming up well. We hope that everything is starting to catch up. We are settled now from the holiday, and so we continue with Wealth Wednesday. We continue looking at how we can turn our personal finances to financial freedom. And so we want to ask you to continue engaging with Wealth Wednesday, to continue following us up on our YouTube channel, Wealthy with You. Subscribe, invite your friends also to subscribe so that we continue learning together. This is the year when we are now kickstarting our transformation journey. And so we begin this session by looking at what's going on around us, what's happening around us. The other day, the governor of Central Bank of Kenya announced to Kenyans that we should tighten our belts, that the year 2023 is likely not to be a very good year economically. Things are going to be tough. And this can be corroborated by the fact that when we look at the weather, the season looks like it has failed. The short trains were not enough. That means there's going to be a shortage of food. And what definitely it means is that the prices of basic items like food is going to go up. And so, as we woke up to our preachers, men of God, prophesying of a very good year, a great year, a turnaround year, we are praying and we believe this is going to happen. But we must also weigh that against the reality on the ground. And the reality on the ground, as the governor said, is that we are likely economically, it's likely to be a tough year. So as we pray and hope for a turnaround, and I believe with all my heart, I am a believer that things are going to turn around, we must also brace ourselves. We hope for the best, but we also get ready for what might happen, what can go wrong. And therefore, today's episode is to ask ourselves, then how do we need to arm ourselves for, that time that might turn around, might turn out to be not what is our expectations, or basically, how do we respond to what the governor said, that it's going to be a hard year. So the first thing that I would invite us to do is to be psychologically prepared. Prepare ourselves psychologically that things might be tough. As much as we are hoping for the best, as much as we are working very hard, we must prepare ourselves psychologically that things are likely to be tough. So that if tomorrow you go to the supermarket and find that the price of wonga has suddenly shot from 200 shillings to 250 shillings, you don't get the shock of your life because you're already prepared that that is likely to happen. So be psychologically prepared. And being psychologically prepared also means you're telling yourself, for example, I can skip breakfast and still be fine. I can skip one meal in a day and still be fine. So that if we get to that point where now it's a choice of, I have these few shillings, how do I spend it so that it can cover my week? If need be, and you get to that point where you need to skip a meal, then you will not die because of doing that. Be psychologically prepared. The second thing that you need to do is now to start handling the money that you have in a more intentional way. Start being frugal. Start being careful in how you spend. Don't be careless with your spending just because we were told it's going to be a good year. It's going to be the year that where we turn around. Be careful. Try to conserve as much as possible the little income that you have. Therefore, it means that you're going to start thinking of doing budgets. Spend on budget. Avoid spending on impulse. Look at areas where you can substitute your spending. For example, if your every breakfast consists of bacon, eggs, sausages, try to see whether now you can substitute that with cheaper things. Can you eat ngwashe and doma, arrowroots, and still be fine? Can you even take porridge and still be fine. Look for ways of substituting. That goes to even where you do your shopping. If you're the one who is accustomed to shopping from the high-end supermarkets, is it possible now to start substituting and you go and look for the same items at the low-end market and still get the same items if it is going to enable you to save? Number 3 is this is now the time and the year for every one of us to start thinking of a side hustle, to stop depending on just one source of income. So start asking yourself, where can I get some extra income? What is it that I can do that gives me an extra source of income? Friends, in this economy or in the coming economy, if we are going to make a breakthrough with our finances, we have to stop depending on a single source of income. And my invitation to all of us is we all have 24 hours in a day. Probably you spend 8 hours, 10 hours at your workplace. You spend another 6, 7 hours sleeping. Look at what you're doing with the extra hours. What is that side hustle that you can start thinking about that can give you some extra source of income? By all means, I am inviting you, friends. We cannot continue to depend on one source of income. You must think of what is it that I can do to make to get some extra sources of income. And going forward in another episode, we are going to address the subject of side hustles. We are going to dedicate a specific episode to looking at that subject of side hustles. The fourth thing that we shall do is we are Christians and we believe God. We are going to pray. We are going to be intentional. We are going to be deliberate in praying for our economy. Yes, this is the reality on the ground according to our ruling authorities. But what is the reality of God? We believe that God can turn things around, and we are completely believing that this year, 2023, is going to be the year where things turn around. So commit yourself to prayer. As you pray for yourself, remember to pray for our government. Remember to pray for this country. Remember to pray for the world. Remember to pray for climate change. Make it your duty. Take it upon yourself to pray for our country, to pray for our government, to pray for yourself. When we do all these things, then definitely we are going to survive this year. And Kenyans, we are a resilient people. We've seen worse times, and even this year we will make it. So in summary, what are we saying today? In response to what the central government governor said or predicted about the economy, we are saying is, number 1, we are going to be psychologically prepared. It's not going to catch us unawares. Number 2 is that we are going to be careful how we handle our finances. We are going to be careful. We are going to take care of the little money that we have, try as much as possible to see whether we can spend it beyond a month. Number 3 is this is the year that we are going to think about side hustles, that we are going to think about not depending on a single source of income. We must look at how can we create additional revenue streams. And number 4, we are going to pray. We are Kenyans, we are known as a praying nation, as a Christian nation. We must take it upon ourselves to pray for our nation, to pray for the world, to pray for the universe. It is our responsibility. I hope you have learned something. And if you have, then I invite you to like this video. I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's spread the gospel of wealthy with you. Let's learn as much as possible. Let all of us learn together, and let's implement what we are learning. We are saying that we are reaching the goal. All of us, we are not leaving anyone behind. Continue enjoying your day, and may God bless you. See you in the next episode. Thank you.